things. So for the Varsity, we're starting a little bit of a new cycle. It's going to focus a little bit more on stamina, unilateral stability, so lunges and single arm dumbbell work and stuff like that, and bracing. We want them to really be tight midline wise, because a lot of sports coming up, continuing on with basketball, baseball, stuff like that, they require a lot of single leg agility, but also they require a lot of bracing and power with that. So we're going to be focusing a little bit on that in the early parts of the off season. General partner med ball toss warm up, just getting them used to tossing and rotating and stuff like that. This can be granny toss, wall ball toss, rotational toss. If we want to, we can start putting them on some single legs on this. This might be a good way to give them some different looks at throws and learning how to stabilize through their hips, which is pretty critical when you come to those fast cutting and turning sports, baseball, running the bases, soccer, stuff like that, and track and field. Then after that, the coach is going to lead a barbell series. They're going to do 2 rounds through 6 reps a piece. You're going to go RDLs, front squat, hang power clean, back squat, and push press. We can do push press actually before the back squat. I'll edit that and post it in. But basically, we're just looking to get all planes of movement warmed up with the barbell and get their midlines nice and warm. They're going to start it out with a WOD, alternating EMOM for 15 minutes. First minute, hang power clean triple. Building sets, we want them to really focus on the technique and explosivity here. Then second minute, med ball sit-ups, 12 to 15, just working a little bit of inflection and extension with that midline a little bit. And then 25-second AMRAP lateral burpee over bar. So we're working that burpee and lateral movement in a different plane, just getting them a little bit of agility practice and a little bit of competition style that's not focused on load. Then after that, we're going to give them the single leg or unilateral look. So it's going to be 3 rounds for quality, very similar to what we do in class sometimes. A1, farmer split squats. So you have a kettlebell or dumbbell at each hand in a lunge position, down and up, nice and slow, 6 each leg, then rest 30 seconds. Plate hug walking death march or plate hug walking single leg RDL. So they'll squeeze the plates on the outside with their hands, pulling it into their chest, and do a walking single leg RDL times 16 steps. This is really going to focus on that single leg hamstring, but also them keeping their backs nice and flat in that hinge position. For 30 seconds rest, and then double kettlebell or dumbbell front rack march in place. We want that knee to get nice and high, so they're going to focus on bracing and stabilizing on a single leg, but also not succumbing to that weight that's on the kettlebell or dumbbells on their shoulders. And we're going to rest 90 seconds, and that should make them feel nice and smooth after day 1. Might have a little bit extra time, focus on a little bit of stretching and muscle lengthening. Then we're going to go into day 2. This will be Sunday on the 5th. This is where they're going to do a little bit of a stamina WOD test. This is one that I like to use, just slightly modified. See the warm-up's missing, but I'll be putting that in there in just a second. I was actually thinking a game would be fun on this day. So I think Eric just posted up a game that we can use. Varsity WOD stamina WOD test, 12-minute AMRAP ladder. So they're going to be doing 1 of each movement, 2 of each movement, 3 of each movement, climbing up and getting into those higher rep ranges. So each movement is going to be goblet squat, 45 and 35 for the older kids, 35 and 25 for the younger ones. So if they're someone like Izzy J, she might want to try pushing it with that 35. But if we have somebody like Lulit, who's younger and less experienced, probably going to try have her between the 15 and the 25, because it's going to get pretty high pretty quick. Then pull-ups, sub out with ring rows. Then push-ups, sub out with normal push-up standards with a box or with a roller, and box jumps. We want to make sure whatever standards this is, it is quick transition. So anything we're modifying, they need to be able to continue for a higher rep range. Then after that, we're going to do the single side and unilateral stability again. We're going to do sit on floor single arm dumbbell press. So Z press basically with a dumbbell, 6 on the non-dominant side. Then they're going to do side plank banded row, or their side plank position. Their bottom arm is the non-working arm from last time, so it'll be their dominant arm on the ground. And then banded row, so they're facing the rig and there's a band attached to about ankle knee height, and they're rowing it back and forth, 3 seconds back, 3 seconds forward, focusing on stabilizing, keeping that midline nice and tight, and pulling with the rear shoulder on that same side of the working arm. And then A3 and A4 are just the opposite. So you're going to do A3 is going to be A1, but the opposite arm. So it'll be the dominant arm this time. And then A4 is the A2, opposite arm on that side plank banded row, and then rest 90 seconds. So I'll get the warm up here soon, but it will be a game of choice in this one, just so we can get them kind of moving in all sorts of planes, prep for that stamina WOD. And then if you have any questions, as usual, shoot me a message. I'll be putting this up in Sugar WOD before I leave.